Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my movie vlog. My name is Jon K, and this is one of our regular companion videos to the Jon K Show in the mornings and open mic in the afternoons. This is where I take all the live questions that came in that I didn't have time to answer on those live shows, but I want you to know that if you send them in, they do get answered. So I collect them all, bring them in here to the companion videos, and get them answered. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. Today's companion video starts off with Tinosvaldo Mendoza, who writes, and I see, because I'm always mispronouncing Tinosvaldo's name. You have a million things on your mind, he says. Here's one more. My name is easier if you just say Tino. Keep up the great work. You're much appreciated. Thank you so much, Tino. I appreciate it. You guys know, if you watch me, I struggle with names so bad. I'm so terrible with names. So thank you so much, Tino, for giving me that workaround. I appreciate that, man. All right, next up comes us from Jon K, who writes, did you see the trailer for Tag? Looks hilarious / funny. I agree. I actually talked about it yesterday on the movie news feed. I was aware that this movie was coming, but I really didn't know anything about it, and I certainly didn't have any expectations. But this trailer, it's Jeremy Renner, John Hamm. It's a terrific cast. Isla Fisher. Anyway, the whole movie is about, it appears to be about, this group of friends who've been playing this ongoing game of tag for 30 years, which kind of has a little bit of an 80s comedy feel to it, but it's also got this really neat emotional hook where it's like this group of friends, this game of tag, and apparently, if I understood the trailer right, they play it only during the month of May each year. And apparently, it's like the one thing that has kept them connected and kept them together. Because, you know, one of the things I mentioned on the show the other day was like any of us who are like over 25, we always struggle with these friendships and these bonds that we have that we think are going to be lifelong. But as life moves on, we drift apart, we get separated, we change cities for jobs or whatever, and we get disconnected. And there's something really cool about the premise of this movie. If you haven't seen the trailer for Tag, go on YouTube, search Tag trailer. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think the trailer looks really good. I'm excited for this movie. Devonte Brown writes, why is the Sicario 2 title always changing? You know what's funny? I just put up a tweet saying, okay, so first it was called Soldado. Then it was called Sicario 2 Soldado, which I thought was the best title, actually. Then they've just changed it again the other day to Sicario Day of the Soldado. I don't get it. So I put up on my Twitter, I said, what's next? Soldado, a Sicario story. And then some people started tweeting in some really cool other titles. Like somebody tweeted to me, to Sicario, to Soldado, which I thought was hilarious. So find that tweet of mine and send in your own recommendation of a new title. But yeah, I have no idea why they keep changing the title. I thought Sicario 2 Soldado was a good title. I thought that worked. I thought Soldado was kind of good, but I understand they wanted to put Sicario in the title to give the brand recognition. I get it. That's fine. But it's like this is the third title they've had now. So maybe this one will stick. Who knows? Next one comes to us from Last of the Timelords, who writes, is Timothy Dalton an underrated Bond? He took over after Roger Moore, and his movie License to Kill was the start of the more adult, gritty, violent Bond that followed with Brosnan and Craig. Your thoughts? I don't know that he's underrated, because I think people appreciate Timothy Dalton. I know, I still love Timothy Dalton. When I see him pop up and stuff, he was even in that show with Zachary Levi, where he was the super spy, and I cannot remember the name of the show now. Why can't I remember the name of the show? The name of the show is the character's name. Anyway. He appeared in it for a season or two. I thought he was great in that. I love Timothy Dalton. He was really good, too, in, what's the Edgar Wright Cops movie? Why am I brain freezing in all these titles today? Anyway, in that Edgar Wright movie with Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, the buddy cop movie that they did, Timothy Dalton was in that. I love Timothy Dalton, and I think he was a great Bond. I really do. Let's see. Akeem writes, where's the making the mustache feature on the Justice League Blu-ray? Don't kid around, man. I mean, that's seriously, you could make a documentary about the whole controversy surrounding that mustache. I'm dead serious. I'm not even joking around. You could do a documentary on that, and it would be a hit online. That would be a hit online. You'd never get people to cooperate. You'd never get, you know, the Warner Brothers execs or the Paramount execs or the actors involved. You never be able to get Henry Cavill to sit down and talk to you. But I mean, if you could and make a documentary about that, don't laugh, man. That would get the hell watched out of it. Everybody would watch that thing. All right, let's move on now. Next one comes to us from Jon K, and Jon K writes, where would you be if you never got picked up by AMC? Oh, where would I be today if I never joined AMC? All right, that's a good question. Here's the thing. When I was doing my own thing called the Movie Blog, right? That's where I started. I started with doing this little website of mine called the Movie Blog, and that's what I was doing. I was doing it online. And then what eventually happened was that AMC Theaters reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking at doing this new thing online. Because at the time, like the only thing, if you went to like AMC Movies or AMC Entertainment, whatever their web address was at the time, it was just like a very barren looking page with a list of their movie theaters and stuff like that. Anyway, they said, we're thinking about trying this new thing online. We want to do like our own movie news thing, whatever, and we think you're the guy to come and do it. Will you come and do it with us? And I said, sure. And I came. They gave me a little bit of a staff and they gave me a little bit of budget, not much, but we evolved that. And I told them right up front, I said, we can do this as a written news blog. That's fine. But just so you know, my intention is to take it into video. And eventually that evolved. It became AMC Movie News and the rest is history. But where would I be if I never took the thing with AMC or if they never reached out to me? Probably in the exact same place where I am right now. Which is because, like, I was always trying to do things first online. Like I was the very first of the websites of the movie news websites to do an audio podcast. I was doing it before. I was the first movie podcast out there. And it was something I called it the Movie Blog Audio Edition is what I called the podcast at the time. But I was also moving into video. I was getting into video before most of the movie news websites were getting into video. And that was totally the direction I was going. The one big thing, and don't get me wrong, I adored my time at AMC. Clearly, I have major issues with their bunch of incompetent idiots that run their HR department, but AMC as a whole is a great company, and I really did adore my time there, and I really like the people that I worked with who were from AMC, particularly my direct boss, Justin, who is the guy who recruited me, great guy, always completely above board with me, always completely direct with me, always let me be completely direct with him. I love my time there. But the one regret that I have about all that, you can probably hear my phone ringing in the other room. Sorry about that, guys. The one regret, and I don't regret doing the AMC thing, not at all, and the path that led me down. The one little part of it, though, that is a little bit of a regret, was that it put me in a position, and this was my own fault because I made the choice. This was me making a choice. But me making that choice put me in a position where these things that I was building, that I was creating, that I was building, belonged to somebody else. Because now everything I was building and creating belonged to AMC and not to me. Despite the fact that it was me that was building it, it was me doing everything, but it belonged to AMC. That's the way it should be. They're paying the bills. They're putting up the checks. They're the ones who own it. I get that. That was my choice, and I a little bit regret that one choice. To the point now that, all the stuff that I built, none of it belonged to me. It always belonged to somebody else, no matter how much it was me that was doing it. But I think eventually I just would have ended up in the same place anyway. I would have been here on YouTube doing my own thing, and that's exactly where I would be. The only difference is I might be a little bit further ahead right now had I not gone to AMC because, I spent all those years building something that ultimately belonged to somebody else. But hey, that's what it is. Again, I got nobody to blame for that but myself because I made that choice. But it is the one little thing that I regret. It is the one little thing that I regret. So to answer the question, I would probably be right here, right now, today, exactly what I'm doing. The last of the Time Lords writes, best Jean Claude Van Damme movie, your thoughts? Oh, best Jean Claude movie. And why am I forgetting the name of his best one? Let's see. The name of the best one is the one with Bolo Young. I mean, easy. Bloodsport. Yeah, why was I freezing on the name? I'm brain freezing on everything today. Bloodsport, 1988. Bloodsport, easily, by far, my favorite one he's ever done. Kickboxer was great. Double Impact was cool. Hard Target was cool. The one he did where he was he was a security guard at the hockey arena. What the hell was that one called again? I can't remember. Not Time Cop. But there was this one he did where he was like a security guard in a hockey arena and he had to stop a terrorist in a hockey arena. I can't remember the name of it now, but I like that one too. But Bloodsport will always be, you are next. Bolo Young. I mean, oh my God, Bolo Young was one of the most intimidating looking villains in the history of cinema. That dude was amazing. Okay, Warren Lucas writes, used my Sinemia card for the first time yesterday. Thanks for the recommendation. Glad you steered me away from Moviepass and their business practices. Well, look, just to be clear, Warren, I'm not trying to steer people away from Moviepass. I myself am a Moviepass subscriber. I use the card. I am critical, though, of some of their business practices. I think they are a pretty shady company. And we'll see how long they last. I'm more than happy to cost them money by using their card as much as I do. But another alternative that just not a lot of people know about is Sinemia. Sinemia has some disadvantages compared to Moviepass, but they also have some advantages compared to Moviepass. You've heard me talk about this before. Disadvantages is, I think the max deal you can get is like 3 movies a month, and you pay like $30. But like here's the thing, I pay $30 a month for my Sinemia card, right? And I can get 3 movies. But here's some of the advantages. 1, I get to bring a guest with me to those movies. So that's like 6 tickets, right? Instead of just 3. So I get to bring somebody with me. I get to actually get 2 tickets instead of just 1. The other advantage is I can actually get online and book my tickets online with Sinemia. I can't do that with Moviepass. I can, use online and buy in advance. Those are the other 2 advantages. Buy in advance, you can't do that with Moviepass. Buy my tickets online, you can't do that with Moviepass. Those to me are very important things. Now, to you, that might not be as important. And so Moviepass might be the right card for you. For me, those things, the ability to buy online, buy in advance, and get 2 tickets at the same time, to me, those are very, very big advantages for my movie-going patterns. Also, I can get a ticket, like at least once a month, I can buy a ticket to an IMAX 3D screening or to an AMC Prime. You can't do that with Moviepass. So, I pay 20 extra bucks a month for the Sinemia card over the Moviepass. That's the big disadvantage. But to me, the advantages are just far better. So that's for me. But you have to decide which parts are best for you, and you pick your card, whichever right for you. But I'm glad you got Sinemia, Warren, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. And no, Sinemia is not a sponsor of this show. I really should reach out to Sinemia and tell them they should become a sponsor of my show. Anyway, Ben Rayner writes, thoughts on Matt Ryan joining Legends. For those of you who don't know, Matt Ryan is the guy who plays Constantine. And he played Constantine on the Constantine TV show that only lasted 1 season. Then he popped up on Arrow a couple of times. And then he recently, this season, popped up on Legends of Tomorrow. So, here's what they've announced. They've announced that Season 4, Matt Ryan, a.k.a. Constantine, will become a regular cast member. But don't get too excited yet. As I covered on the movie news feed yesterday, this is only applicable if CW picks up Legends of Tomorrow for Season 4, and that hasn't happened yet. And it's certainly not a sure thing. The producers have decided they're going to add Matt Ryan. Great, but the network hasn't told them, if they're going to even pick it up for a Season 4. So so before we start throwing this party about Constantine returning to the screen, he's going to be in the CW verse full time. Before we get too excited about that, none of it means anything if CW doesn't pick up Legends for Season 4, which they may not. So let's not get too excited about that just yet. All right, next one comes to us from Last of the Time Lords, who writes, will we get a Vince McMahon biopic? Your thoughts? It's possible. It's possible. They have to find the right story. He really does and has had a fascinating life. I'll be honest with you, I'm more interested in a movie about the Montreal Screwjob. I'm more interested in that movie than I am about, of course, Vince McMahon would be a big part of that, but I'm more interested in that than a biopic on Vince. But a biopic on Vince could happen. It could happen. We'll just have to wait and see. I wouldn't put my money on it, but it's possible. Durama1 writes, do you plan on getting the Thanos hot toy from Infinity War? It's possible. I want to see the movie first. And as much as I'm expecting the movie to be wonderful, it could suck, right? I might hate it. It's possible that I could hate the movie. Or maybe I love the movie, but I hate the way they use Thanos, and then I won't want to spend money on getting a Thanos figure. But if everything works out as expected, then I will probably have a hard time not getting the Captain America hot toy and the Thanos hot toy. It's going to be hard for me to resist, I got to admit. I'll just have to, not eat in restaurants for 3 or 4 months to make up for the money, I guess. Last of the Time Lords writes, more powerful, Apocalypse or Thanos? You know what I'm going to say, whoever the writer is. Whatever writer is writing, whoever they decide is going to be more powerful is going to be more powerful. I really don't have any opinion on that one way or the other. Eric writes, why can a quote-unquote good director stumble and their stock will fall, i.e. Colin Trevorrow, Rian Johnson, but an actor like De Niro can sleepwalk the last decade and still be regarded as one of the best actors? Well, here's the problem with the question, Eric. You're not asking an apples-to-apples question. You're talking about young directors who don't have a long filmography versus one of the all-time most celebrated actors of all time who has a resume going back 5 decades. You can't compare those two. So it'd be like, let's work it the other way around. How come an actor like Bobby Schmobby, I'm making up a name, a kid who's been in like 2 movies. How come an actor like Bobby Schmobby can have one bad movie and nobody hires him anymore, but a director like Steven Spielberg can have The Terminal and everything's fine? Well, because one is considered one of the all-time greats and has a long resume of excellence and success, and one does not. So you can't compare a Robert De Niro situation to a Colin Trevorrow, who's a young director, very small resume, doesn't have a long track record at this point, versus a Robert De Niro, who's one of the most celebrated actors of all time. When you're one of the most celebrated of all time in your field, you will be forgiven for a few mistakes and a few trips along the way. You will be forgiven. I mean, and let's call it what it is. Robert De Niro hasn't sleptwalked the last decade. Like, he's turned in a couple of great, he's sleptwalked through a lot, but he's turned in a couple of great performances. Well, he's even been nominated for a couple of things along the way. So it's not like he's just spent 10 years sleepwalking. He's put in the effort when he's wanted to a couple of times. But again, he gets a little bit more of a pass because he has a long track record of success and excellence. Colin Trevorrow, Rian Johnson, they don't. They have a couple of really good films on the resume, but it's a short resume. It's a small resume. It's not an all-time celebrated resume. So when they stumble or are perceived as stumbling, I like The Last Jedi, for example, but still, notwithstanding, when they perceivably stumble, they don't get as much of a pass as somebody, be it director or actor, that has a huge long resume of excellence and in the iconic status. So it's really a different scenario. James Ido writes, plot pitch. The new Terminator movie takes place in the apocalypse with Sarah and John meeting the human form of Arnold, who Skynet took his DNA and go into Skynet to destroy it since Arnold knows it. Haven't we heard as much, James? I mean, I've always kind of been assuming that's been part of the plot pitch. In other words, up until this point, I've just assumed that that's the story to a degree. I'm not 100% sure about that, but that's kind of what I think the assumed plot is at this point. Again, we don't know for sure, but I think there are certainly elements in what you're saying there that will be part of the movie. I think so. Let's see. Kailas Menon writes, is Marlon Brando one of the greatest actors of all time? Well, it really all depends on how you define greatest of all time. Some people, when you want to have a greatest of all time kind of idea, a greatest of all time, some people are talking about and they want to see a top 5. Like, are they in the top 5? Some people, when discussing greatest of all time, you got to be in the top 10. Some think you got to be in the top 50. Like, if you're one of the 50 best, then you're one of the greatest of all time. So it really all depends on, what's your range. Top 2? No, he's not one of the greatest of all time. Top 5? You might have discussion. Top 10? Could probably have top 20, definitely in the discussion. So it depends on. So if we go for an argument, let's say 25. If your definition is of one of the greatest of all time is like top 25, then I think there's an argument to be made there. Whether you're talking about Streetcar Named Desire, you're talking about The Godfather, or some of the other big things he's turned in, Apocalypse Now, whatever. He was great. He was great. Is he in top 25? And then again, a lot of people may be hearing this conversation says top 25 isn't one of the greatest of all time. Top 5 is one of the greatest of all time. If it's top 5, probably not. Probably not. But if you stretch that definition out to say like top 20, top 25, I think he could be in the discussion. I really do. Let's see here. On the Waterfront is another good one. Troy Taylor writes, who wins? Iron Spider versus gum in somebody's assigned seat. Answer, Dom Toretto. Very true. Dom Toretto wins that fight. Who is your favorite side hero in the MCU? Mine is Heimdall. Heimdall's great. I love Heimdall. Favorite side hero? Wow. I mean, not a lot of the movies. You know what? I might go Wong. I love Wong. And I was so excited to see that Wong was going to be... Oh, and I got another one. Okay, so there's Wong from Doctor Strange. And I was so excited to see that he's going to be in Avengers. Mbaku. I keep getting Wakabi mixed up with Mbaku. Mbaku. Damn, I love Mbaku. I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding. We are vegetarians. He's so great. I love Mbaku. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media, but after watching Black Panther, I went back and watched like the first Infinity War trailer again and got so excited when I saw Mbaku standing behind T'Challa, because before seeing Black Panther, I didn't know who M'Baku was, other than it's one of the comic book characters, but I didn't know who he was in the movie, didn't know anything about him. And so then I went back and saw that M'Baku was in the Infinity War trailer, and I was like, yay! I was so excited. So Wong is a great one. M'Baku is another really good one. Those are just a couple that pop up off the top of my head. All right, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from Sam Mack, who writes, "Hey, John, like you, I love Sons of Anarchy." Damn right. Are you looking forward to the Mayans MC spinoff? I'm cautiously optimistic. Absolutely I am. It's got the same showrunner as Sons of Anarchy. Kurt, I'm forgetting the showrunner's last name. But anyway, Kurt, he's running it. We got Marcus is going to be back. This is great. I expect to see some crossover with Sons of Anarchy. So I expect to see some of the, obviously not Jax, but we're going to see some of the Sons of Anarchy cast members probably appear in a couple of episodes now and again, which would be great. I'm so looking forward to this. Sons of Anarchy is one of my top 3 favorite television shows of all time. I love that show. And whether they did Original 9, which is something they were looking at doing as a spinoff, they went instead with the Mayans, which I'm totally happy about. I'm excited about it. Can't wait to see it. So stoked. So stoked. It's supposed to debut near the end of 2018, so it should be coming out this year. Jedi Master Batman writes, "Do you watch Robot Chicken or the Eric Andre Show?" To be honest, I've never heard of the Eric Andre Show. And I watch Robot Chicken now and again. Robot Chicken has certainly done some stuff that I absolutely love. Their Star Wars stuff is always hilarious. But I don't watch it regularly per se. But every once in a while, if I'm flipping through the old YouTube TV and I come across some Robot Chicken, I'll watch some of it. They do some very creative, very funny stuff. Advith Rajad Urai writes, "Have you ever heard of the Canadian TV series called Murdoch Mysteries, starring Yannick Bison? A very charming little series, my recommendation." You know what? I was home for Christmas, and while watching Canadian television, I remember seeing some ads for Murdoch Mysteries, but that's the first I ever heard of it. So, I mean, I've been in the States for 7 or 8 years, so I'm missed out on a lot of stuff that's going on up there. And surprisingly enough, they don't play a lot of Canadian TV down here. So I have heard of Murdoch Mysteries, but I have not watched it. Maybe my next trip back, I'll look it up and see what I can see. All right. Let's see. This next one comes to us from ZOMG Ruler, who writes, "Can a Justice League reboot make more, and will it catch the MCU?" Well, I mean, of course, a Justice League reboot could make more. It could make less, too. They need to reboot this universe. Could it catch the MCU? Absolutely it can. A DC cinematic universe can catch the MCU. The DC cinematic universe as it currently stands cannot. They've just dug themselves too far deep into a hole. They will never come back and catch the MCU at this point. If they reassess, reboot, kind of start again, then yes, it'll take a couple of years, but it is possible they could catch them. Absolutely they could. When you've got a cinematic universe with Superman and Batman, I mean, just stop right there. Just those two. Forget all the other great heroes, whether it's Wonder Woman or Flash or Aquaman or whoever. Just with Batman and Superman, you are in a position where you could catch the MCU. You could. It'll be hard. It'll take some time, but you can. And but it's going to take rebooting to do it, I think. Mick Hale writes, "Favorite road trip movie? Mine's the Muppet movie." Somebody asked me about road trip movies the other day, and you know what? I thought about it a little bit afterwards. Borat. If you want to count, and you can make an argument against it, but I count Borat as a road movie, as a road trip movie. Borat is probably my favorite road trip movie. Very few films made me laugh as hard, especially during my first viewing of it, as Borat did. Borat is so freaking funny. It's funny and it's smart, and the way it holds up a mirror to our society is so intuitive. It's a great movie. I enjoy it so much. So that's probably my favorite road trip movie. Carnal Boussard writes, A New Hope Special Edition. What are your thoughts on the Jabba/Han scene? It was cool to see, but narratively it always felt redundant. Is this a throwaway question? Or this is a throwaway question? You know, at the time, because when it came out, I was kind of dabbling in visual effects. You guys know I worked in visual effects for a number of years. And the idea of them taking this, because they always had the scene, right? They shot that scene where Han meets Jabba in the docking bay where the Millennium Falcon is. Except Jabba was this tall, overweight Irish guy. that was Jabba. Just dressed in furs and, oh, Han, my boy, and blah, blah, blah. What they did was they digitally put Jabba, as we know him today, over top of that guy. And they did some silly things with it. And nah, it's a throwaway. It shouldn't even be there. But the worst part of that scene was at the very end, coming out of the side, coming into frame, was this blatantly forced cameo of Boba Fett. Where it's like he's out of frame and all of a sudden, and he looks around. It was so forced and awkward, just terrible. I really wish they had just left it alone and not used it at all. All right, next one comes to us from Who Else But Coop writes, you are in The Incredible Hulk. I am. Thus, you are MCU canon. John is the Soul Stone confirmed. That's right, guys. I am the living embodiment of the Soul Stone. You caught me. I'll make the announcement now. I am in Avengers Infinity War. I am the Soul Stone in Avengers Infinity War. And hopefully, not even for a second, did you believe what I just said. Anders F. writes, sent you an email link to a guy that can do merchandising for you. I can handle quotes and stuff for you. Just need you to tell me know what you want. Well, here's the thing. So what I mentioned the other day was a lot of people are constantly been asking me to make some official John Campia merchandising. Bring on the filthy. I'm John Campia by nature. I win. Winning cures everything. All the people asking for all the screw you. I love the Ewoks. People have been asking me for all this type of stuff, but I just haven't had time. Nor do I really have the money to get it together. And, I just asked, hey, if there's any artists out there who want to help me and help design, make some merch, I don't got much money at all, blah, blah, blah. So, I can find, Anders, and I appreciate you. I haven't seen the email yet, but I appreciate you sending me that. But I can find artists, if I was paying like a regular customer should do, if I was like paying for it, I could find lots of people to handle quotes, and I could do that. But I'm not in a position that I can put up money to do that. I made the decision to spend money that I don't have on giving jobs to Ray and Jonathan to help with editing and graphics on my shows. And that's money I really don't have, but I'm spending it there anyway. So I really don't have money to spend. So if all I was looking for was good artists for hire and whatever, I could find 1 million of them. But I'm just not in a position where I can do that. So merchandising is just going to have to wait till some really good artist just wants to design them for free and for fun. And I would never expect anybody to do that. If you're a professional artist and that's what you do for a living, you should get paid for your work. So that's not why I'm bothering anybody. But if somebody, I keep forgetting to reset my camera. Sorry, guys. But if there's some great artist out there that wants to do that, then by all means, drop me an email and let me know that you're interested in doing that, and we'll get some merchandise design. But until that day, I'm just gonna have to wait. Ben Heyusa writes, also, I am rewatching that Infinity War trailer for who knows how many times I have watched it. Ugh, April 27th cannot get here quick enough. Oh, Ben, you and me both, man. You and me both. You know what? I stopped watching it yesterday. I kind of made the decision not to watch the trailer anymore because honestly, watching the Infinity War trailer just makes me frustrated that April 27th is so far away. It literally just makes me frustrated that April 27th is so far away. It's like, now watching it isn't getting me hyped. It's making me frustrated. So, like, as of yesterday, I stopped watching the trailer, and I don't think I'll watch it again until the movie comes out, and I suspect they will put out another trailer. I suspect there will be a trailer number 3. I'll watch that and then wait till the movie gets here. But yeah, my excitement level is going off the charts for this. Drinks on Me writes, watch the Sicario 2 trailer. I'm worried. As soon as Benicio refused to kill the girl and becomes hunted, I thought, oh no, they're going to go this route, are they? I hope it's misdirection. See, here's the thing. I'm perfectly fine with that as a story. That could work great. That could be a wonderful story hook for the movie. What pissed me off is that they showed it in the trailer. You know, I talked about that on the John Campea show earlier today. It was that I feel like this Sicario 2, also now known as Sicario Day of the Soldado, just gave everything away. I feel like you just give away the first 2.5 acts. And I might as well now just show up for the last 20 or 30 minutes of the movie. Because I feel like I know everything that happens up until the last 20 minutes of the movie. So if there's an 8 o'clock screening of Sicario 2, I might as well show up at like 9:30. Might as well, because I feel like I already know everything that happens up to that point. They showed way too much. I'm fine with that as a storyline. I wish you just didn't tell us that particular storyline. You already gave me enough in that first trailer. The CIA wants to start a war with the cartel. You're bringing in this guy who's like a rogue on his own. You want to start a war. Things get nasty and dirty. Good. You've told me what I need to know about the movie. Now that there's this extra dimension of another story that happens with, he comes across this little girl, he decides instead of killing her to protect her, but now the CIA wants her dead. Now the CIA is at odds with Benicio del Toro. Now Benicio del Toro is fighting against the CIA when he's work. You didn't have to tell us all that. That's too specific. So I got kind of frustrated when they did that. But again, as a storyline in and of itself, I'm fine with it if it works. Ali Hussein writes, what happened to the Salt sequel? That ending of Angelina Jolie's Salt, it was obvious that the studio was planning a sequel. I enjoyed that movie. Yeah, but it didn't do well enough. It's just, like every movie would love to do a sequel. Just because they want to do a sequel. Let's see. I'm going to pull up the box office results here on Salt. Salt, I mean, it didn't do terrible, actually, but it didn't do great. It made $290 million, but on a $110 million budget, right? So after you take away the theater's cost, so that takes it down to about, I don't know, $190 million that it made. Then you add on the marketing costs. Salt didn't make all that much. It made money. It was profitable, but not much. And certainly not enough that they felt that they could go ahead and do a sequel and expect it to be successful. But look, make no mistake, just because a movie planned on doing a sequel, that doesn't mean they're going to do it. They got to see how it turns out. And Salt just didn't turn out either well enough for them and certainly didn't do well enough financially for them. All right. Krieger119 writes, is that an homage to the cartoon character on Archer? If so, I like the name. Krieger119 writes, scalping's been going on for some time now. They did it for Star Wars The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and now for Infinity War. They're using Craigslist as one of their outlets. Effing pathetic. Yeah, so we talked a little bit earlier today on the John Campea show about how with more and more tickets, being sold online and stuff, that people are scalping them. There are safeguards in place to protect it from becoming a mass problem. But on top of that, I believe the industry more and more will build in even more safeguards. I mean, look, if I buy a ticket to an advanced movie and then I can't go, I should have the right to sell that ticket off. So there is that. What needs to be protected against is like a company coming in and buying a block of 50 tickets to an opening night of, whatever, Aquaman, buying 50 tickets and then scalping those 50. Like, that's got to be stopped. The odd person who buys like 4 tickets and decides they want to sell them off for a little bit of a markup, that's always going to be there. It already is there. Even without advanced ticket sales, you can already do that. But I just don't think it's as big as a problem. Once companies get involved and start buying tickets in like blocks of 50 or 100, that's when it will become a real issue. And when you're going to see that the industry really has to take some steps. Jedi Master Batman, I love that name, writes, thank you for all your hard work. It is beyond appreciated how much you bring on the filthy. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Have you seen Star Wars Episode 9, the bad version? It's a video essay of an Episode 9 plot outline. No. I haven't seen it. Haven't even heard of it. I generally don't watch those types of videos, so I probably won't watch it either. But to be honest with you, at this point, Jedi, I haven't even heard of it, to be honest. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Who Flung Poo, who writes, if the Venom story is true, I'm giving up on Sony. Yeah, so again, one of the big things we covered on the John Campea show earlier today was that there's a rumor going around that probably isn't true. That most likely isn't true. But there is a rumor going around that there is a possibility that Venom only really shows up, that Tom Hardy only fully turns into Venom at like the very last part of the movie. that throughout the movie, he exhibits some venom-ishness, like maybe like a tendril comes out now and again, or a tendril shield forms, but you don't really see him as Venom. And he doesn't go full-blown Venom until like the very end of the movie. And I was saying, even just as a theoretical discussion, like forget the rumors for a second, because they probably aren't true, but as a theoretical discussion, were Sony to do that, that is a disastrous thing for them to do. The audience will revolt against them right away. And you can forget about this new, shared universe of superheroes thing that Sony's trying. You can forget about it. Because you are going to, if you outrage the fans with this first one and you screw up Venom and you piss off the fans by telling them this is a Venom movie and then Venom doesn't show up till the very last part, you are going to piss off the fans so badly. So badly. They will revolt. So I got to believe that Sony isn't that dumb. I got to believe they know they can't do that. And like I said this morning, I don't think Venom has to show up in the first or even the second act. As long as he shows up close to the end of the second act or right at the beginning of the third act, then I think you're fine. But if you just save him for like the last 10 minutes of the movie, people are going to revolt. A Venom movie without Venom will piss people right the hell off. Ben Rayner writes, Venom movie without Venom is like Star Wars movie looking for Luke and not showing him until the last minute of the movie. Oh, wait, never mind. Now, come on, Ben. To be fair, it's not like the name of The Force Awakens was Star Wars, The Search for Luke Skywalker. They never marketed the movie as a great search for Luke Skywalker. They marketed it as something different. So it's a little bit of a different situation. Let's be fair to Star Wars there, Ben. All right, next one. Krieger119 writes again. This is Fernando, by the way. Can't agree more. Hated the trailer. Talking about Sicario, I think. It's like a Logan-esque movie now. More interested in just seeing the war on the cartel's part. Well, I'll be honest with you. Look, you mentioned it's Logan-esque. Logan was fucking brilliant. Logan is awesome. So the Logan-esque part, and look, you want more narrative hook. You want deeper story than just war. Because then it's nothing but a popcorn flick. I think Sicario is supposed to be a little bit deeper than that. So I don't mind the idea of having a deeper story that runs throughout the war setting. That's fine. I have no problem with that. My problem is that they've marketed it that way, and and I feel like I've seen the whole movie now. All right, just a couple left here. Phil Lee writes, Wakanda is now open to the world. Vibranium Spider. Yeah, why not? Why not have the Vibranium Widow, Vibranium Spider, Vibranium Hawkeye? Everybody has Vibranium suits now. Everybody's going to have Vibranium suits. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. That's why when people ask me long before Black Panther came out, somebody asked me once, directly says, do you think the movie will end with them completely, Wakanda revealing itself fully to the world? And at the time I said, no, I don't think so, because that so fundamentally changes the world. Like, Wakanda just opening themselves up and showing everybody in the world who they are, that so fundamentally changes the entire world. As far as technology and vibranium and all that kind of stuff, the world of the MCU will change overnight. So I don't think they'll do that. Turns out they did do it. Now we'll have to see what kind of repercussions that decision has on the world of the MCU. Because right now there's no excuse why every single member of the Avengers shouldn't have a vibranium suit. It's the toughest metal in the world that nothing can hurt them. Why? And they've got mountains of vibranium. Why? You have to come up with a very valid reason now why they don't just give every single member of the Avengers a vibranium suit. Rob McDonald writes, what do you think of my indie Colts? Things looked bright for a few years ago, but injuries and bad roster choices have hurt the team. Look, the biggest problem that they have had, they have a great quarterback, all right? They went out and they got the best quarterback, but they never got anybody to protect him. You can have the greatest quarterback in the world, but if he's constantly running for his life and constantly getting hammered and never has the time to let his plays develop, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. And right now you got a guy back there who's just getting the shit kicked out of him week after week after week after week. I mean, he's probably the best quarterback to come out of the draft in years, but he's never really been able to fully show it because he's constantly getting barraged. So I like him, but they got to get an offensive line or else they're doomed. Killing Joke Quinn writes, John, One more thing about the Iron Spider-Man suit. Oh, God. What if the post-credit scene has Spider-Man look at the camera, he takes the mask off, and it's Kevin Feige saying, "Screw you, John, I love the suit." I would take that. If Kevin Feige wanted to address me directly and tell me why he loves Spider-Man's suit. But let's be honest here, I am not 1/100% important enough for Kevin Feige to directly address me. But that would be pretty fun. All right, and the final question today comes to us from Third Man, who writes, maybe it's an illusion of the Tesseract that Thanos crushed, and that's ultimately what got Loki killed. Last failure for a man who's on borrowed time. It's possible, but Loki doesn't need to give Thanos more reason to kill him. The entire first Avengers movie was about Loki trying to take over the world for Thanos, and he failed. Not only did he fail, he lost the Tesseract, he double-crossed Thanos. He doesn't need to give Thanos any more reason to kill him. He's going to kill him. So it's possible there's an illusion involved, absolutely, but it's not like that's required at this point to justify Thanos killing him. All right, guys, that will do it for this installment of the companion videos, catching up on all the questions you guys have sent in. Don't forget, guys, every morning we got the Jon K show talking about all the movie news and taking a little bit of live questions, but then every afternoon we've got Open Mic, which is just all open discussion. We're just film fans standing around a virtual water cooler talking about our favorite things in the world. Make sure you join me for those shows. That'll do it for me for today, guys. My name's Jon K. Thanks a lot for joining me, and until my next video, bye-bye.